Well, some call it rivalry week. Others call it hate week. We got the game between Michigan and Ohio State, the old Oaken Bucket with Purdue and Indiana. Of course, Washington versus number 1 Oregon, plus the rest of the Big Ten slate. Let's talk. It's time for the Locked On Big Ten Squad.
You're talking ball with the Big Ten Squad. From USC to Ohio State, from Michigan to Oregon, from Nebraska to Washington, it's the local experts of the Locked On Podcast Network bringing you scoops, breakdowns, and the most comprehensive preview of the upcoming Big Ten weekend. No hurt feelings and thin skin allowed. Squad up, you're part of the Big Ten Squad.
Welcome to the Locked On Big Ten Squad. I'm Craig Shemon. Sit back and enjoy. We're going to shoot the breeze and talk some football here. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. You can start participating in the rest of the season right away. Don't wait for a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you get started with $150 in bonus bets. If you win your first $5 bet, visit FanDuel.com to get started today. Let me introduce the squad today. We got Roman from Locked On Huskies, Zach from Locked On UCLA, other Zach from Locked On Nittany Lions, Spencer from the number 1 Locked On Ducks, and Jacob from Locked On Hoosiers. Where's Jay Stevens at Locked On Buckeyes? What is this all about?
I say if he's not here, the win doesn't count. That's all I'm saying. He shouldn't be able to claim that he's not here. Let's vacate the win. It wouldn't be the NCAA does Columbus. Heyo, Indiana could still be undefeated. We're still a playoff team. It's fine, but Jay Stevens can't even defend himself today because he knows his team still didn't play great, but they still beat us. There's no defending.
The NCAA does love vacating wins, right, Zach Sako?
We're not going to go there. We're not going to go there.
Can we go to one person on this panel picked Ohio State to cover the spread? That was this guy right here. I'm taking that. I'm calling that my W for the week.
The guy in the apartment above you, is that who you were pointing to? That's who it looked like you were pointing to, and that's how we all took it.
3 separate times. Let's not talk about the people that actually live above me.
I really wanted Jay to explain himself and why Ryan Day and his little man complex had to run up the score with that last touchdown with 34 seconds ago.
Ooh, be careful, Craig. I think I made every person in the state of Ohio really upset when I said that on Saturday. They're still coming after me, and we're almost a week removed from the game. So be careful what you wish for, man. They're kind of crazy over there.
All right.
People care about the state of Ohio?
Well,
no, Roman, not the state, just the Buckeyes.
Did anybody else think it was quiet for that game? That the crowd,
yes,
nobody showed up for the Buckeyes?
No, I did too. And then I saw something on Twitter that the TV messed it up. This was my view from the seats, and they played like loud audio. I thought that was a dead crowd.
I mean,
a dead crowd in the Big Ten. Interesting, isn't that, Roman? I was told that these are the biggest and best crowds in all of the land.
That's what I heard.
Roman, you can attest to that. Your team was at the whiteout.
I feel like the whiteout, like for sure, absolutely, Zach. Or the whiteout is an awesome experience. Like I was at one of the basketball games here at Washington that same week, and they really cranked up the noise inside UW Stadium. But if you guys ever get a chance to take a trip out here to Husky Stadium, for last year's game when Washington played Oregon, I'm not joking when I say my ears ringing for like at least 24 hours after that game. And that is an average Husky Stadium experience. There is great football all around the Big Ten. There are great atmospheres, but you cannot sleep at what's going on at Washington. And even today, as we just talked to some players here at UW on Tuesday, they gave credit to the atmosphere that Oregon's got going on down there at Autzen as well. There are some really awesome atmospheres out here on the West Coast. Zach at UCLA, we're not going to talk about the 20,000.
Some are saying that Ryan Day's ears are still ringing from that October 12th game.
Yeah, I think you might be right.
Meanwhile, Zach Anderson-Yaxheimer is confused at the phrase ears ringing.
Hey, if Iowa fans show up, then there's quite a few fans, ears ringing, a lot of fans.
It went from 20,000 to 30,000? That's awesome, man. I'm happy for that stadium.
It's not even allowed 30,000 either. There's only 25,000 at Martin Stadium.
Can the Rose Bowl pump in crowd noise?
It's not going to help
mine.
They could hide the speakers under the tarps.
I was going to say, can you imagine if we had to put tarps like in Beaver Stadium or something to make it look full? It would never happen. Oh, Spencer, how'd you enjoy your bye week?
Oh, it was great.
Yeah.
It's great. I had a great time.
Roman, you too? Did you enjoy the bye?
Oh, it was wonderful. I didn't have to think about anything. It's absolutely wonderful. And now I'm just not acknowledging the person below me for the rest of the show. There's somebody there.
That's
but
me.
Yeah, they were spelling an M earlier for whatever reason. I don't understand that.
No, it's a dubs down sort of deal. But
the SEC
yeah, Craig,
would hate that, Spencer.
I was watching all
ban
the.
you.
I was watching all the chaos unfold across college football, and I had this great setup in my office. TV had one game, computer another, phone another, and I was by myself. Like, it was just pure college football bliss. And I was really comforted by the fact that my team wasn't involved in any of the chaos from Saturday. It was great. Like, I was watching Texas A&M Auburn going, boy, I sure would hate to be a Texas A&M fan right now or an Auburn fan. And guess what? I'm not. All good.
Well, and you can still kind of have a stress-free game this weekend, whether you win or lose to Washington. There's no going to be against Washington. There's going to be no repercussions. You still go to the Big Ten championship game.
Okay. Let's slow down. Nationally, I've talked about this on my show this week, and it's a fair point to raise. Nationally, there is no pressure on Oregon to win this game. There really isn't, because they can still win the Big Ten championship because they're going to that game. They can still get a first-round bye if they win that game. The only downside there as well, if they were to get upset by Washington, then lose to Ohio State, maybe they wouldn't get a home playoff game. Maybe it'd be a road playoff game instead. But that would be small potatoes on the minds of Oregon fans if they lose this football game. All the pressure is squarely on the Ducks, and Dan Lanning has got to beat whoever is coaching or playing for the team that wears that W on the side of their helmets. Dan Lanning's got to beat them this week. No ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Roman?
That person down there is absolutely right. You see that logo behind him? That O?
That person? You mean that team out west? That one?
No, we're not. That team down south. That's how many wins Dan Lanning has against Washington. And it's been
wow,
wonderful.
That was clever. I've never heard that before.
It's the same number now.
No one's ever taken the Oregon O and translated it into a jab at Oregon fans. Oh boy, holy original
get
Batman!
A win against Washington before he heads off to the NFL for the Chicago Bears.
Oh, yeah. But I'm terrified.
Yeah, look, Craig, Spencer's absolutely right. The pressure is on Oregon in this game. It's everything is shaping up for Washington to still be building and potentially be really good in 25. Love to see that. Looks like they could take a giant step forward with a lot of really nice young pieces. But right now, in a road game where you're potentially going to be starting a true freshman quarterback, where Jed Fish is not saying who the quarterback is going to be, we've made some assumptions over on Locked On Huskies. But if it is a true freshman quarterback and you lose to Oregon, that is what it is. But if you beat Oregon in that game on the road for the fourth straight win over Dan Lanning, yeah, the bragging rights are going to be very loud in the minds of every Duck.
All right. Zach Sako, you guys, Penn State, close it out against Maryland. You got 10 wins. How nervous were you with the 1-point game against Minnesota this past weekend?
I mean, honestly, at halftime, I was more confident in coming back down by 2 touchdowns against USC than I was in that game. Now, I thought they would still win, but my confidence meter was definitely I thought they would come back against USC. I was a little uneasy against Minnesota. But, hey, I will point out that 1 point, 3 points, 10 points, 100 points, they won. I can't say the same for those SEC teams. I bet it is an absolute mess over there for the SEC squad, because on 500 Florida, not even 500 Auburn, not even 500 Oklahoma, all won games against teams that are supposed to be playoff juggernauts, and they would win the Big Ten and everything else. So Penn State won. Can't say the same for any of Alabama, Ole Miss, and I'm blanking. Texas A&M. Any of those teams that were supposed to would dominate the Big Ten or any other conference if you take them out of the SEC. But whatever.
Yeah. Yep. I don't know where the Big Ten bias came from. It's crazy how it just works out where we have all the top teams and they can't get out of their own way. What a crazy world.
And they refuse to accept it from the people I talk to on a regular basis. Zach Anderson, UCLA, you had the tough game against USC. You close it out with Fresno. It's unfortunate you didn't get the USC game to try and stay bowl eligible. I thought there was a story going here with your 3 straight wins, maybe after a slow start getting into a bowl game. But your thoughts right now where the Bruins football program is?
Well, it would have been a big statement for UCLA to take down USC and Lincoln Riley, right? Could have put them on an extremely hot seat. Instead, Deshaun Foster, they're still licking their wounds after a heartbreaking loss, but you got to break that Fresno State streak. This game is unreasonably just as important because you don't want to lose, a fourth straight game to Fresno State? That'd be bad.
Yeah. Jacob, how many points are the Hoosiers going to beat 1-10 Purdue by?
I hope 1 million. I hope a lot. They're so bad.
Jacob, it's not going to be that close. Come on.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Look,
2 million.
It's always fun to appreciate that. Is that the first time you've picked us this year, Spencer? I think it might be.
Oh,
no, against UCLA. He chose.
he probably
yeah.
picked him against Washington too.
Yeah.
Zach remembers, and against Washington, and against a bunch of other teams. I had you guys beating Western Illinois. I mean, come on.
Wow, appreciate that, man. Appreciate that. No, it's always fun to play. Savant. Always fun to play Purdue. Always fun to beat Purdue. The fact that it was opened up as over a 4-touchdown favorite tells you all you need to know about who we are and who they are. I'm happy with where we are, even with the result against Ohio State. So, yeah, this game's in Bloomington. We'll win by 2 million, according to Spencer McLaughlin.
I do have a question about the it's always fun to play Purdue. It's always fun to beat Purdue. Is it really fun to play your rival when you lose?
I mean,
it's been a few years.
I think it's just fun to beat your rival, and that's kind of it.
I was going to say, Spencer, you can attest to that as well as anybody.
All right, Craig, next segment.
He's got to go.
Is this
All
where
right,
Spencer
we'll
leaves?
see what these guys think
Yeah,
about
probably.
Michigan, Ohio State, and USC Notre Dame as the squad continues. Want to tell you about FanDuel. That's right. You can tackle the rest of the NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you could check out the latest stats right there. Check out some play-by-play, some scores right there where you put all your bets in. So just visit FanDuel.com and join today. You get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's at FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Back on the squad here. All right, Big
He's
Ten.
still
let's talk
here?
about it.
Surprising.
Spencer's still here?
Yeah, that's right. I've got thick skin. Thick skin.
No
That's what
thin
the intro
skin allowed.
says.
The intro told me.
Steel. This is 3-inch reinforced steel right there.
Valyrian steel?
Obviously.
How much plastic surgery?
Only as much as Wolverine in the original X-Men movies.
Okay.
All right, nice segue. Speaking of the Wolverines, does anybody here think that they keep it close
No.
against Ohio State?
11 out of 10.
Okay. I thought you were going to say win. I was like, all right, if we're going to go into absurd conversation, sure. Why not? Let's just go into any conversation possible. No, I actually do think Michigan is capable of keeping it close. That Ohio State offensive line is fine. I don't think it's bad, but you can't lose 2 starters and be the same caliber unit you were at the start of the year, or else those guys behind them would have been the starters to begin the season, obviously. So the Michigan defensive line is nasty. Davis Warren is a much improved quarterback. Colston Loveland is good. They still can't really throw the ball to a wide receiver on a play that isn't a screen pass, but could Michigan run the ball and kill the clock a little bit, keep it close? Sure. They could only lose, 31-10 or something.
Okay. All right. Well, most of you guys' teams have played Michigan. That starts out. Roman, what do you thought? You think they can keep it close, or is this a blowout?
No, I've got this as a blowout, and Spencer and I've had this discussion before. I take great issue with the statement Davis Warren is a massively improved quarterback. Like, first of all, it's hard to just improve from, or it's hard to get worse from the situation they were in earlier on in the
He
season.
didn't get worse.
Yeah, because it's impossible to get worse from where they were. On top of
Yes.
that, you still can't throw the ball to a wide receiver. How are you going to say that's an improved passing game? These are just the little things I take issue with in that.
Oh, he's got Colston Loveland.
Yeah, that's
Michigan's
not,
He's really good. I'm just sick. You're like, how is he going to throw the
I'll
ball?
give that.
Well,
he's
I don't know.
awesome.
Oregon.
He also
Oregon's
has
pass
the college
defense has been-
football video game cover athlete to dump it off to. Come on.
But
That's a backup running back that they put on the cover. What
I know.
schmucks designed that game, huh?
Yeah.
EA.
I
question.
played for 3 hours today.
But in all seriousness, Ryan Day needs to beat Michigan. He needs to get over this hump, and he's going to probably put a little bit extra on this, like we saw at the end of the Indiana game. I wouldn't be surprised if this is one of those moments.
He will.
Yeah. Zach Anderson, you think the same thing?
This one's interesting because we're talking about Michigan's quarterback. He's coming off a game with 26 completions and 35 attempts. I thought that was the biggest thing out of their 50-point outburst against Northwestern.
That's what I'm saying.
35 pass attempts and he completed 26. I mean, that was stunning in my mind. I thought they would have run the ball a lot more. They're going to need to against Ohio State be more physical. I think they'll be a little more successful in that regard than Indiana was. Doesn't mean it'll be anything less than a 17-point loss, but maybe they'll make it close for half.
Zach Sako, you've seen Ohio State up close in person. Do they run away with this thing?
I mean, that's a top 5 defense going against what looks to be a bottom 5 offense. Michigan's defense is the only saving grace this season. I mean, they're obviously all in by paying high school athletes who have proven nothing $12 million. So I also think that Ryan Day understands how far it will go if he wins by 28, 20, 35 points. Like this is a statement game for Ohio State just to get revenge. They can kick Michigan while they are down, and then maybe there's repercussions of the sanctions in the future, right? So Michigan seems invested in other places. Ohio State can definitely get some brownie points back by beating up on the Wolverines. I don't think it's close.
Do you think we'll get a Dave Portnoy quarterback review like we get pizza reviews?
Yeah.
Like every week he'll just sit down and on a 1 to 10 with decimal points give a Bryce Underwood analysis. Just like, oh man, he went for 220, 2 touchdowns and a pick. That's a 7-1. Just 7-1.
Will he get
let's
NIL
alienate
boost,
every
like,
other
based
player
on
on
that?
Michigan's roster. Like, oh my gosh.
Will he
Jacob,
get what,
what do you
Roman?
think? Indiana
NIL
beat
boost.
Michigan by 5. Ohio State ran
He
up the
should.
score of the Hoosiers, so it's hard to get a gauge. What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, look, Indiana struggled with Michigan because of their defensive front. Indiana was able to win that game down the stretch. Ohio State fooled Indiana after the first possession, right? Hoosiers get a 3 and out, go down and score 7-0, everything's fine. But then Ohio State said, yeah, that 4-man rush was cute, but now we're going to blitz. And Indiana had no idea what to do, couldn't pick it up, couldn't read it, couldn't do anything. And Curtis Rourke was sacked, 18,000 times. And so if they do that against Michigan, look, they got to get the ball out. They got to get it out quick. But what's crazy is Ohio State has one of the best rush defenses in all of college football, but Indiana ran it pretty effectively against the Buckeyes. And I don't know why we didn't do it more. I know late in the game we were down, so I had to score when we could. But if Michigan can somehow, some way find a ground game, get it out the outside, and just get away from the dudes up front, they've got a chance. But I'll say 35-7. I just think Ohio State's way too good.
27-10.
27-10? All right. What's the spread on that, right? It's like a 20
20 and
spread.
a half.
And the over-under's low.
When you
So
get a big
I'm
number in a
42.
rivalry game, take the points. Unless it's Purdue and they suck. So let's just take Indiana to cover.
Good call.
That is a good call. Yeah, and hopefully Indiana hasn't beaten them in like 4 or 5 years, though. We got to get Bucket back to Bloomington.
We're fine, Craig. I promise. We're good. We're
No
all right.
hangover game.
No, we're gonna be just fine. Signetti's got a new contract.
Oh.
We got the stands gonna be full. We're gonna be fine.
By the way, Jacob, I need your instant reaction to Will Howard putting out the cigarette and stepping on it on the ground.
As just reenacted by Spencer, if you didn't see.
Yeah. For those of you on audio, thank God you didn't have to see that. Yeah, it was fine. I mean, whatever. I have no.
Well, let me ask you this: was the running up the score because Ryan Day said, "Hey, I wanted to leave no doubt." Was that leave no doubt to Michigan since they lost Indiana, or was that leave no doubt to Kurt Signetti for all his talking at the basketball game last year?
That was leave no doubt for a playoff committee in case they slip up somewhere, just to make sure that they get the ranking that they want to. Give me a break. They're going to beat Michigan by 1 million, and then they're fine. If Ryan Day is intimidated by Kurt Signetti and what he said at a basketball game 8 months ago, then you've got your priorities wrong. Congratulations, you win. But come on, man, we're talking 2 different levels right here. An Ohio State coach, what he's making and what he's had the ability to do and hasn't done compared to Kurt Signetti, not even a year in. Come on, dude.
Jacob, have you ever worked in politics before? Because that was the greatest press secretary answer I've ever seen. Craig gives you a binary choice, and you just reject the premise of the question. Just completely throw it away, and then if someone says, no, I want to ask this question, I've already answered that. Yeah, you over there.
Yep, that's all the time we have today, folks. Thank you.
Jacob 2028.
Wow, there we go.
Hey, all right. We got 3 votes.
Speaking of now, all
Zach,
right,
I hope you know he's not old enough to run. Like, please tell me you know that.
Yeah, but I didn't say
just
for president.
making sure.
I didn't say for
Craig on the other hand.
That's true. He didn't say that.
Craig on the other hand.
Yeah.
I'd vote for Craig.
The old man.
Craig has to deal with us. He's got my vote.
Yeah.
Thank you.
If you can deal with the Big Ten squad every week, you can handle any world crisis.
If you can deal with Spencer every single week, you can handle any crisis.
Yes.
There we go. All right, you heard it. We still got to talk about USC Notre Dame when we come back. We'll continue here on the Lockdown Big Ten Squad. All right, final segment here on the Lockdown Big Ten Squad. Let's talk about.
Yeah, get out of here, Roman. Nobody wants you here.
Oh, did he bolt? He didn't even say goodbye. What happened?
Wow.
Yeah, he just left. Well, here's what happened: is we went to break and ran the little transition. He thought there was going to be a live read. He forgot there is no live read. Saw there wasn't, and then slid right out the back door.
Thank you.
All right, let's go round robin here on the USC Notre Dame rivalry here. Let me ask you this. If Notre Dame loses this game, and I don't think they're going to, do they fall out? Are they
yes.
You couple that?
They should.
Yes. They absolutely should. Because here's where Notre Dame is at. They should be on Dark Knight Rises level exile thin ice. Because they have a home loss to Northern Illinois. That's not the best team in the MAC.
Not
that's
even a good MAC team.
That's just a capable team in the MAC. So that loss should be more punitive than a win at Texas A&M, which they should get full credit for because it's a great win. But at best, those things should cancel each other out. And still, I think that should be 60-40. The loss should hurt them more than the win helps them. Unequivocally. So if you add another loss in there, I would put in a 3-loss SEC team before I put in a 10-2 Notre Dame.
And remember, they're not in a conference. So.
Correct. So they're not going to play a conference championship game, which means they're not going to be punished in any way. You're also not rewarded in any way. They're just going to sit at home. They're going to watch everybody else, and they'll say, yeah, put us in wherever. And do we really think that a capable Notre Dame team will ever be left out of the college football playoff? Come on, that logo, that brand, the money. No, they're never going to be left out unless they have 5 losses. They won't be, though.
I agree with Spencer.
I'm
they should.
I think they should be. I think they should be penalized at some point. Maybe not this year, whatever. But they should get to the point where they get penalized and they go, hey, we got to get into a conference. That's what I'm tired of their little special rules.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't disagree. I'm just saying that if they go 11-1, fine. In the 12-team era, you get to make the playoff. In the 4-team era, we wouldn't have allowed for that, but we've expanded because it's better now, right? So I think that Notre Dame is on high upset alert this week. If you had a dog like the bomb sniffing ones they have at the airport, but you had an upset sniffing dog and it was just poking around, it would signal to its commanding officer, up over here. We got major upset alert. You've got Notre Dame traveling 2 time zones. USC's off a quote unquote road game that wasn't really a road game last week, so they haven't left Los Angeles in a few weeks' time. Jaden Maiava is playing all right, and Lincoln Riley needs a win to remind his fans that he's still capable of winning a decently big college football game, because I'm sorry, Zach Anderson-Yoxheimer, beating UCLA doesn't really count.
Well, let me tell you, USC didn't look that much better either, so Notre Dame by 20.
I can't take Lincoln Riley, though. I can't. I said it way back in the beginning, like, since when has he become a good coach? Like, his time at USC has just been And if you get a win over Notre Dame, sure.
After the first season.
That's
you got to give him credit. You got to give him credit for the first season. Like, I know they lost their last 2 games of the year, but to go from 4 wins to 11 wins, even though they lost the Pac-12 title game, they lost the Cotton Bowl to Tulane, they got run all over. Like, that was a disappointing end to a successful first year, but it's been downhill since.
Yes,
I think it's a little simpler than that. Maybe they just can't handle the Big Ten. Maybe USC just can't handle the Big Ten.
They were 7-5 in the Pac-12 last year.
Yeah, it's a Pac-12.
Okay. Well, they were supposed to be better this year.
And they're worse now in the Big Ten. So
losing to Maryland.
Yeah, that story doesn't hold up.
Yeah, look, I'm not taking USC because of that reason. Not that I think Notre Dame's this world beater, college national championship type of team, because they're not. But I'm not taking USC. No chance.
When was the last time you watched Notre Dame play a football game? Just out of curiosity.
Most of their games this year, actually. They are not going to win the night. They will lose.
I don't know about national championship, but I mean, in the last month and a half, there aren't that many teams that have been playing better than Notre Dame. The reason I still have the upset alert meter so high is on the USC angle, not the Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame's been playing really good football.
Well, Zach Sako, I think you probably saw USC's truly last good game, that overtime game you had where you beat them there at the Coliseum.
I mean, that was the best game that they could have put together. I don't know why they benched Miller Moss. I think they're just looking to the future because they brought in that other quarterback from the transfer portal to build for the future. Yeah, Maava. So Lincoln Riley sold out on this season and said, we're just going to build for the future because Miller Moss was actually one of the better quarterbacks. You look at the analytics, you look at the statistics. He's the fall guy in this case. So, yeah, I mean, I like Notre Dame in this game. I don't think USC beats them. Notre Dame has, I think, the second best defense in terms of yards per play or yards per play allowed. So I'm gonna side with that. I'm gonna side with the top 5 defense.
Okay. You guys enjoy your weekends and the games, and have a wonderful Thanksgiving with all your families. You guys do a great job. To our audience out there, follow these guys. Follow, share, like.
Except Jacob.
Shut up, man.
I thought you were going to say Roman, but okay.
At least you get, Jacob's here to defend himself.
Roman's just not here.
I've been hurt enough, Spencer. Stop.
You can follow and subscribe to your
You're
favorite
gonna
Big
make the
Ten team. We'll be covering all your favorite teams every day throughout the season. Don't forget, I got you covered with the entire conference with Locked On Big Ten. I'm Craig Shemon, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. See you.
Interrupt Craig one last time.